This program is brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.
It's a ruthless business. You're traveling every year on the road. Yeah. So you have accidents where people die, where a bus rolls.
Good evening and welcome to First Issues. Our effort to give a voice to those changing the landscape of entrepreneurship in the country has given a rise to the realization that the space not only addresses economic growth issues, but also has the potential to alleviate the rising unemployment rates in Botswana. According to a 2019 study by the World Bank, SMMEs account for the majority of businesses worldwide and are important contributors to job creation and global economic development. They represent about 90% of businesses and more than 50% of employment worldwide. Formal SMEs contribute up to 40% of national income in emerging economies. According to the report's estimates, 600 million jobs will be needed by 2030 to absorb the growing global workforce. In emerging markets, most formal jobs are generated by SMEs, which create about 7 out of every 10 jobs. In the vast landscape of Botswana, where unemployment plagues the land, the story of one entrepreneur stands out as a powerful testament of wanting to make part of the positive stats. This is the story of Ndipo Mokoka and Mokoka's Transport, a company that has moved far beyond just ferrying passengers to become a key driver of economic development. Ndipo Mokoka's journey began with a single minibus in 1999. The transport sector was a vital but often challenging space, and he saw this as an opportunity to not just compete but to innovate. From that single minibus, Mokoka's Transport has grown into a major player in road transport, creating significant employment opportunities and contributing directly to the nation's economic fabric. By creating jobs and providing an essential service, Mokoka's Transport is helping to build a more resilient and sustainable local economy by supporting a host of other businesses, from fuel suppliers and maintenance garages to the small-scale vendors, often informal, who operate at various bus stops. Ndipo Mokoka is on First Issues this evening to talk about his journey from the very beginning to where he is today and hopefully where the transport sector is leading him. Ndipo, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. Today we're here to talk about your journey as an entrepreneur, right? You are the founder, managing director of Mokoka's Transport. What was the motivation behind this endeavor?
The motivating factor for me to start the transport company in Botswana was actually the gap that I saw in the market. I traveled a lot and I realized as I travel, Botswana does not have the kind of transport mode that would be loved by many people. I'm particularly talking about your modern coaches, which Mokoka's Transport introduced when we started this business. I think 10 years into the journey. Now we started doing fully air-conditioned coaches, which are reclinable, which has all the features that you find in a bus overseas.
I want to talk about, entrepreneurship, the landscape. You got into it unbeknownst to you what it would look like. So I want us to elaborate on that, the entrepreneurship experience, you coming in as somebody who's new to entrepreneurship and going into this Botswana policy-wise, Botswana hela lebone, you as an inexperienced person. What was that like? What was that experience like?
That experience was, for lack of a better word, it was such a horrible experience. Horrible in the sense that, unfortunately, in Botswana, when you start something, they always have to have a reference of Now, I got in this business My father never owned a bus. None of my relatives ever owned a bus. I was just trying to fill the gap, like I said from the beginning. I saw the niche in the market that I could fill in this gap. So I got a very hostile reception. They were the ones that are already running. Because if you realize, you find that our businesses are generational. So when you come in as a completely new person, that the reception is not well. Because they think, who are you? You think you can do better. We've been doing this thing forever.
How do you think, or what do you think leads to that kind of mindset where we're not receptive to new entrants into whatever sector of the economy that might be, right? If we believe that we want to build legacies, why then do we have the mindset that another person who wants to start their own legacy should be shunned or not received well?
I think it's the education part of it. I think, to me, it's more on the education. I think people should accept new entrants. They should accept that if you have been doing something for 10, 20 years, it does not mean you are going to do it better than the young ones who come in. Because I came in completely with a different strategy. Let's remember that we are here to serve the people. I'm not serving myself. We also have an association, which I'm one of the leaders, the Botswana Bus Operators Association in Botswana. I always tell them that the mistake we make as business people, you buy a bus that you want. You are not buying a bus that your ordinary person wants to travel in. For example, I'll be looking to buy a bus from here to Mau. Obviously, I'm talking of 1,000 Ks from Gaborone to Mau. Firstly, I need to look at the comfort. I need to realize that I'm going to be traversing so many waves, and from here to Soroe you find a different environment, to Reikops and Maung, weathers and everything. The roads also are different. You need to study the route. And the mistake that we usually make, and I've always told my competitors, that when you buy a bus that you want or you think you can afford, but you should be buying a bus that can suit the journey that you are going to be embarking in.
bitsa motho gore motho a leke mangwala go duela metsi.
Mama, ka mala jana o tlhoka le go tsamela kgakala gore go duela metsi. FNB re diretse tiro motho.
Senthe.
Ma kwa go marekisetsong a ile gore ana le tshwala FNB Cash Plus. So se tlhokanyela ke o mangwa ga go mo tirisong le reference number e bon dinomoro tse diriswang go ruragatsa dituelo tsa gago.
FNB what?
FNB Cash Plus.
Madonna makante ke mo ntse samplele ka mananeo a FNB ya Cash Plus.
La ha re le nna ke gone go utang ka dona ebile ke be ke sa dumele.
Deposit cash and coins, withdraw from e-wallet, make cardless cash withdrawals, buy prepaid airtime and electricity, pay bills such as water, electricity and many more.
FNB. Dona. Nyawa ene ke ra sa thare. Mpare mo tiki. Na ke ra go motho hela mamarapedi. O tola skontere hela. O bua go semosong wa go duela semosong. Manane wa FNB Cash Plus.
FNB, how can we help you?
The motivating factor for me to start the transport company in Botswana was actually the gap that I saw in the market. I traveled a lot, and I realized as I travel, Botswana does not have the kind of transport mode that would be loved by many people.
Thank you so much for staying with First Issues. Our conversation with Ndipo Mokoka, who's the founder and managing director of Mokoka's Transport, continues, where we now discuss the challenges of running the enterprise. Well, In anything, we have dualities, right? We've just been talking about your accomplishments and the amazing work that you're doing within the transport industry as Mokoka's Transport. But I want us to talk about some of the challenges and the hurdles that you have encountered from the time you started in 1999 up to today. Specifically, maybe those that when somebody hears about them, they believe you should have been out of business.
Accidents. Accidents. It's a ruthless business. You traveling every year on the road. So you have accidents where people die, where a bus rolls, this does. Okay, we have had a few. And the biggest hurdle that we had, where our bus had an accident with another car. I'm not sure if you have seen it in social media. Yeah. That was the biggest blow, I think, in all the years. The bus collided with an oncoming car, and the bus and the oncoming car bent to ashes right there on the spot. That was such a blow.
I can imagine.
That was such a blow. And I tell you, people died in the bus. We got to the accident scene. I was taken by the police, and they were showing me that, you see that? That's somebody's head which bent in your bus. And imagine that you having to go through that. And what you need to realize, we need to care for people's lives. That is our priority. Safety is number one in our business. Customer care is number one. So imagine that now we had to shift everything. We had to visit all the families which were involved together, the opposite car and the people who also perished in our bus. We had to visit them, we had to attend funerals, we had to contribute, we had to do whatever we can. So that was the biggest hurdle that we've ever had in a long time.
If you knew that that would be a challenge that you would encounter when you started, do you think that you could have still went this route?
Oh yes. Life is a challenge. Life is a journey. So you need to embrace the challenges. You need to walk the journey. Because there's no business that you're just going to have it soft throughout.
That is true.
Business is a challenge. So what you need to do is you need to come up to the challenge and you need to make sure you overcome the challenge. We are growing the company to greater heights. That is not going to deter us from growing. We are actually wanting to bring other sophisticated things which are not here, be it in coaches, be it in how you book for a bus, be it in how we serve our customers better.
Is there one or are there one or two things that have been pivotal and integral to how you've approached entrepreneurship, principles of which you are still applying today in the way that you are running Mokoka's Transport?
Yes, I think the biggest one is customer first. We pride ourselves in taking care of the customer. We understand we are here because of the customer. So we still want to continue and make sure that our customer comes first. Our service comes first. We want satisfaction first to the client and then we come last.
So in the end, we are having these conversations with various entrepreneurs really to just invigorate a sense of entrepreneurship within the country in hopes that we will encourage more people to want to be entrepreneurs as we're faced with escalating rates of unemployment, right? So in that same spirit, what would your words of encouragement be to somebody watching now wanting to be an entrepreneur one day?
My words of encouragement are simple and are short, in the sense that when you go into business for the sake of giving a service first, and then the profit will come later. It took us a very long time to be where we are. You don't go into business to say you are going to look for money. Go into business, make sure your customers are satisfied. That's firstly. And then from the repeat clients, that's when you get your profits.
Ndipo Mokoka and Mokoka's Transport are not just a business success story. They are a living example of how private sector initiative can ignite economic transformation. Their journey shows that the road to prosperity is paved not just with natural resources, but with the bold spirit of entrepreneurs who are willing to take a chance and drive change.
bitsa motho gore motho a leke mangwala go duela metsi.
Mama ka re maletse yana ha o tlhoka le go tsamela kgakala gore go duela metsi. FNB re diretse tiro motho
senthe
mma kwa go marekisetsong a ile gore ana le tshwao la FNB Cash Plus. Se se tlhokanyela ke o mang wa gago mo tirisong le reference number e bong dinomoro tse diriswang go rurihatsa dituelo tsa gago.
FNB what?
FNB Cash Plus.
Madonna makante ke montso sampolele ka mananeo a FNB ya Cash Plus.
Hela ha re le nna ke gone go utlwang ka dona ebile ke ne ke sa dumele.
Deposit cash and coins, withdraw from e-wallet, make cardless cash withdrawals, buy prepaid airtime and electricity, pay bills such as water, electricity and many more.
FNB.
Dona nyawa ene ke ra sa thare mpare motiki na ke ra go motho hela mamrapedi go tola skontere hela o bua go semosong wa go duela semosong manane wa FNB Cash Plus.
FNB, how can we help you?
Welcome back to First Issues. Solutions to hardships in entrepreneurship come in abundance on this segment. We talk to industry experts and service providers about what products, advice and fixes exist for these hurdles. Ndipo Mokoka at Mokoka's Transport just spoke about road accidents being the biggest challenge to his undertaking. He shared that the financial losses emanating from these are immense, sometimes setting them back millions of pula.
The bus collided with an oncoming car, and the bus and the oncoming car burnt to ashes right there on the spot. We had to visit all the families which were involved, together the opposite car and the people who also perished in our bus. We had to visit them, we had to attend funerals, we had to contribute, we had to do whatever we can. So that was the biggest hurdle that we've ever had in a long time.
To cushion against this, there's motor comprehensive cover, an insurance option meant for just that. Our guest is Rebane Kue, who's business development manager at one of the local commercial banks, to talk about the details. Reba, thank you so much for coming on First Issues and affording us your time. We are back here revisiting our conversation on motor comprehensive cover, right? This is one of the most common insurance covers out there, afterlife insurance in my humble opinion. But a lot of times people understand it to mean it is just for your personal vehicle. You buy a car and then you get motor comprehensive cover. But maybe you could talk some more around where else it extends to and what it responds to.
The motor comprehensive cover actually covers damage to third parties, which we call third party liability, which is up to a limit of 2.5 million pula. And then it also extends to covering theft and hijacking of that particular vehicle. So an example would be the damage to third party liabilities would be, I'll use an example here, where uthudile someone's property, and you are liable for those damages. So the comprehensive cover will cover your own vehicle and also extends to repairing those damaged assets that you are liable for. So that is what the motor comprehensive actually extends to.
We were having a conversation with an entrepreneur who runs a public transport enterprise, right? And he was saying that one of the challenges that they regularly encounter ke dikotsi tsa dikoloi. And so in one of the instances, basi ile ya to get caught on fire. So my question to you right now is, would motor comprehensive cover respond to such an event?
Yeah, well, it definitely does. So the motor comprehensive also extends to covering accidental damage to those insured vehicles. So yes, it definitely does. Those road accidents that normally occur, Botswana, the policies that are taken up will respond to such incidents. Yeah, so there is actually cover for that.
In insurance, we sometimes hear of something called exclusions, right? Define that term, and in this case, what would exclude a business from being covered?
The first one is wear and tear. Wear and tear, in this instance, we are referring to your paint ya koloi is being it's rusting, your dishoko tsa koloi di fedile, di tire tsa koloi di fedile, so that is your wear and tear. So that is not covered by your insurance policy. And then we also have your fraudulent acts where you are trying to benefit from insurance. Unfortunately, that is not also covered. And then we also do not cover instances where the driver was intoxicated or under the influence of drugs or alcohol. Unfortunately, we do not provide cover for such.
You know, insurance is one of those things, even up to today, people still hold misconceptions about it. Insurance in jail. There seems to be a lack of understanding of how insurance works or what it is. So maybe that's why we're having this conversation. So as a matter of reiteration, you could just remind our viewers the importance of taking out insurance.
Remember, first of all, what we are trying to do is we are trying to solution for our clients. We are not just selling you a product. We want to ensure that you have a solution in the event that you incur a loss. So we want you to have that peace of mind at least my insurance policy will take care of that. And then we also want to ensure that there's business continuity. Business continuity in the sense we are referring to if I've suffered a financial loss, I will cover that financial loss from my insurance policy. I get it. Yeah. So we are looking at such instances and such cases. And also we want to build that trust to our clientele, okay, at least we know that our assets are insured.
Solutions for every challenge are abound. As an entrepreneur, you need to keep your ear on the ground to know where to seek out these solutions. With that, we've come to the end of tonight's episode. Until next time, good night. This program was proudly brought to you by First National Bank of Botswana.